Twice a month here on Channel 6 News, we get a chance to talk with the good folks from Saddleback Memorial Medical Center. We get doctors and nurses and technicians and administrators on. Our guest today, yes, a familiar face to all of us here at Channel 6, Mr. Frank Van Nostrand, Public Affairs Specialist with the Social Security Administration Office in nearby Santa Ana. And most of you probably have seen Frank either here on Channel 6 on his Friday segment, Social Security Today, or some of the clubs and organizations, and speaking around the community, senior centers and retirement groups. And in fact, I saw him a couple years ago in Irvine, and he was as surprised as I was to see each other at this event. But anyway, Frank, good to have you on the program today.
Good to be here, Rob. Thank you very much.
A lot of things are going on, you know, the politicians are fighting over all these issues, but the procedures and policies of Social Security and Medicare continue on. You folks follow the rules that are in place. They change from time to time, but you move right along.
Yep.
And right now we're talking about that period of enrollment, Medicare open enrollment. People go, oh, that's neat. What do I have to do? What does it all mean? What is open enrollment?
Well, open enrollment is the open season of Medicare supplementation. I have a plan at work. Most people when they work have a plan at work. And once a year they give you a chance to change your mind, to switch to a different plan. Well, that's what the annual election period is. People who have chosen a Medicare Advantage program, the HMOs or one PPO, or their prescription drug plan, have an opportunity to rethink, am I where I need to be next year? Mm-hmm. Everybody should have received their annual notice of change if they were in a Medicare Advantage or a prescription drug plan, telling them how the program's going to change next year, because they change each year.
So it sounds like it would be time for a little bit of research to find out if the plan that you're on is still effective for you. And I understand that these companies make changes in their internal policies every year. Mm-hmm. And I guess one of the big ones is what they call the drug formularies.
Yep.
This year we cover Niaspan, next year we don't, or whatever it might be.
Correct. And that's a really an important one to watch. Mine did that this year to me. I got the notice that said one of the drugs I'm taking no longer going to be on formulary. So one of the things I have to decide is, well, do I want to pay the extra, $10 a month that it's not formulary, or do I want to switch a plan? That's what the folks on Medicare have to look. Not only that, but the co-pays. This year, one of the more popular Medicare Advantage plans is the PPO. Anthem Blue Cross has a PPO. Well, the PPO is changing. It's going to still be there, but it's going to be higher premium. It was $40 this year. It's going to be $66 a month next year, and higher annual out-of-pocket maximum. Mm-hmm. $3,700 a year, $45 next year. So they have to decide, okay, am I willing to pay the extra money? Am I willing to have a little higher risk to stay in the PPO, or do I want to switch to something else?
We heard years ago about the so-called donut hole. Plans were made to try and fix that. I understand it's still being discussed, but has the donut hole been filled in yet?
Oh, not completely, but at least half. The Affordable Health Care Act of a couple of years ago halved the donut hole. Originally, once you reached the your first coverage, the first phase of coverage, you were responsible for 100% of all your drug costs till you got to the
up to another point,
cap.
yeah.
Now it's 50%, so you're only half responsible for those, and that's getting better each year for the next 10 years until eventually it'll be 75% coverage, only a 25% copay.
And then is there a time at the end if you pay up past that amount, there's still where you go back to full coverage?
Never full coverage. The catastrophic cap, you get to where it's 5% or just a nominal copay, less than
and obviously they're trying to make this fair for people who maybe take no prescription drugs or one prescription drug to people who might be taking 10 or 12 prescription drugs.
And it's not mandatory, it's voluntary. The prescription drug coverage is voluntary.
So in some of these plans, that's separate from doctor's visits, hospital visits, supplementing your Medicare Parts A and B.
Correct. There's two ways of supplementing Medicare. You can go into an all-comprehensive Medicare Advantage program, which have both Medigap coverage and drug coverage, or you can decide to go and buy just a Medigap insurance policy, and then if you want a separate prescription drug policy. Mm-hmm. And the advantage to that is you have control over which doctors you see. You can go to the Mayo Clinic if you want. The other advantage is you're covered and it's cheaper, so you can save money.
You mentioned this on your show a couple of times. There might be a situation where, say, a couple might find themselves on two different plans.
Yep.
just because of the different medications they might be taking or their different health needs.
Correct. We don't have family coverage under Medicare. It's individual coverage.
Yeah.
So what's right for me may not be right for my wife. She may have different needs than I do,
Yeah.
so she may have a different plan than I do.
All right, so we need to look at the plans, we need to look at what we have now, and then look at what's available out there. And I understand that there are limitations. If you have a friend that lives in Minnesota, they may have a different mix of plans in St. Paul than you do here in Orange County, correct?
Correct. It's county specific. So actually, it's even zip code specific. But here in Orange County, most of them cover all of Orange County. And here in Southern California, we're blessed because we have very generous Part C Medicare Advantage reimbursement rates. So almost all of the HMOs are premium free. Same thing in Northern California, you're going to pay a premium for, but that's just the reimbursement.
Interesting. All right. So lots to look at, lots of plans to look at. You know, some of us like to go to places like those simple hamburger places where all they have is hamburgers and fries and sodas, but other people like to go to a big restaurant with a long menu. So lots to choose from out there in the thing.
Correct.
If somebody makes a decision and that period starts, I believe today.
Yesterday.
Yesterday was the start.
Yep.
When they make the decision, and if they make no decision, they're going to stay with what they have.
Correct.
Or drop off completely. But if they make a decision, when does that go into effect?
It'll
then?
be effective January 1st. So I choose now. I'm where I'm at until the end of December. Then January 1st, I'm in my new plan.
Okay. What about new people? People who are retiring this year are going to work through the end of 2012. January 1, they get their red, white, and blue card out, and they're getting their Social Security, getting their Medicare Parts A and B. They need a supplement. They need to make that decision now too.
Well, they can do it if they can't supplement Medicare till they're on Medicare. So if
Right.
they're not going to be on Medicare till January. But the good news is when you age into Medicare or first become ineligible, you have an initial enrollment period. So you don't have to worry about the open enrollment period.
All right.
You're in your initial period. You can make a choice of any plan that's being offered, regardless of what time of the year it is.
So
you have that aging in.
They can be doing their
guarantee.
research now.
Correct.
And even do the forms and get the paperwork process started. And then January 1st, when they say clean up their desk and leave their boss,
Yep.
they'll be on the
They're on Medicare,
new
and now
plan.
they're on
Yeah.
their new Medicare plan, and then they'll have the chance to switch next year if they
Right.
don't like what they've chosen.
We often hear that there's sometimes a second chance in government policies and procedures. Is there a second chance if somebody, say, picks something between now and the cutoff date, and then they decide January 15th, they go, you know, this isn't working?
Yep. I call it the oops clause.
The oops clause.
Oops clause. Oops, I picked the wrong plan. We have one of those over at Medicare. It's called the Medicare disenrollment period. It's from January 1st through Valentine's Day, February 14th. And you can say, oh my God, what have I done? I'm in the wrong plan. And it'll let you bail out. Okay. Now, it won't let you switch to another plan, but it'll let you bail out of where you are. And it'll be effective the first day of the following month. And the reason why is because we already paid him for this month.
So you'd be uncovered then at that point. You can go from what you have to nothing, but
Correct.
you can't go from plan A to plan Z.
You can't go from one Medicare Advantage to another
All right.
Medicare Advantage. Now, it's possible you may still be able to get a Medigap policy,
right.
depending on your health.
And you might want to get that through the next October then, or through the
Correct.
end of the next year there. So lots of things to think about. You don't want to use that oops time precariously because you might find yourself uncovered.
Correct.
Lots of ways to get information. We know about HICAP. We know about Social Security. Medicare offices have some information, but there's some seminars coming up as well.
Right, I do a lot of seminars with the hospital, with Saddleback
Right.
Hospital. I'm doing one on Thursday at 1 o'clock over at Saddleback Hospital here in Laguna Hills with Roberta. Roberta Potts is it's their senior person there. And we're going to be doing a sort of a welcome to Medicare. We're also doing one, I'm doing one at the Saddleback in San Clemente on December 1st. You can go to their website, memorialcare.org, and right up at the upper bar is events and classes. You can click on those, and they will show you all the ones that Saddleback is.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the Medicare Marketplace coming up here in the village
Right.
with your community civic associations.
Yep.
And so that'll be a wonderful event, too.
You mentioned Saddleback. I would imagine Saddleback and other hospitals have their own Medicare supplement programs that are available as well, right?
Well, the hospitals don't usually.
They
usually accept certain. Most of them accept most of the
Okay.
plans. But most of the big hospital chains will have like a free service where they'll work with seniors and guide them through
right.
the process.
We have a lot of people here who probably are happy with whether it's Saddleback or Hoag or you know whatever.
Yep.
And then we have a unique group of folks that are maybe on Kaiser.
Yep.
Is that an instant plan, or do you have to make decisions in that as well?
Kaiser's one of the Medicare Advantage plans, and they're the comprehensive. They have their own hospitals, their own doctors, their own specialists. So once you're in Kaiser, it's all directed. You use Kaiser doctors, Kaiser facilities, and it's all coordinated within that plan.
A lot of information out there, folks. This is that time to think about it. A lot of free lunches out there. Some will give you a pie, some will give you a sandwich, some will give you a cup of coffee and a piece of pie, whatever it might be. But the good ones coming up that you want to attend, think about the one over at the hospital. That's coming up this Thursday from 1 to 3. And then you're also going to be taking part in the one sponsored by the Community Center, or Community Civic Association. And that'll be coming up Clubhouse 5 on the 25th, starting about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So a lot of ways to get information. And of course, they should watch your show every Friday on Channel 6 and hear the words of wisdom from the Santa Ana Office of Social Security.
Have I got one more second?
Yes, you do.
Commissioner this morning, about an hour and a half ago, announced the COLA. The cost of living adjustment for people on Social Security is going to be a 1.7% increase. Wow. Okay. Better than the 0
There was
2
none
years
last year, yeah.
But well, last year was the 3.6, but the 2 years
2 years
before
ago,
that were
yeah,
the zeros.
yeah.
So it's a 1.7. Don't spend it all in one place. The Medicare premiums haven't been announced yet. They're supposed to be announced later today or tomorrow, but I just wanted to share the 1.7. Good news.
Doesn't it tend to be when Social Security goes up,
The Medicare
goes up a little bit too? So,
Yeah.
And final question, I understand that people that are just getting into Social Security, I believe their payment for Medicare comes out of their Social Security automatically. Is that correct?
If you're on Social Security, it's mandatory. We take it right out of your check before you get it.
All right. Frank, thanks for your time. Good to have you with us. And we again thank Saddleback Memorial Medical Center for setting this segment up. And again, they've got some good information over there for you as well. Find out about the good programs available through them also. We'll be back with more news, more guests as we continue. Stay with us.
Clear and never old. The birds are chirping hello, and you know that it saved me. Well,
we can keep you healthy and care for you when you're not, right in your own backyard. Memorial Care Cancer Institute at Saddleback Memorial. Together we'll put cancer in its place.